Hi guys, Patty from Patty's Crafty Spot, and I'm here to share with you my latest design team project for Crealies. And I went ahead and I created another mini album. So let me just kind of walk you through the products I use first of all. So for most of my album pages, front and back cover, I use the Crealies Next XXL number 56, and these have the scallop edges. I also used XXL 69 circles, and it has little scallop edges with some of the little circles, so it gives you almost this like nice pretty lacy look. And then I also used from the Crealies XXL dies number 84, and these are just the smooth circles, as well as from Journals and Planners the large pocket die number 651, on the edge die number 33, and the mini album binding system A. Went ahead and used that. So those are the products I used to go ahead and create this little mini album. So this is kind of a nice simple little album if you kind of wanted to dabble a little bit making them, but you were kind of intimidated. This one's kind of a basic style, so the fun element is on the cover, as you can kind of see these circles here. And this just kind of walks you through, so if you're a little nervous, you can kind of get your feet wet by making this. So what this one does is, this was super cute. This idea just kind of came to me one night, and I said, oh, that would be so fun. So these little circles are on brads that spin, and they just open up like this. But the fun part about that is, let me get a piece of paper. The fun part is this is an acetate window, and it has a little pocket on the side. So you can add a photo into the pocket so you can see, just like that, and you can have a hidden little pocket or a little window with your photo hiding underneath. And then the piece that I cut out from the cover I just added to the bottom, just in case, so until you put a photo in, you can see that. And then these just spin back around nicely. And then this covers this little edge, holds them together, and voila, it's hidden and you can't see it. So anyway, I thought that was kind of fun. So let's walk through the rest of the album. So I have a little on the back inside front cover, a little corner pocket right there, and then this just holds some 3 by 3.5 by 5.5 photo mats. And then a blank page, so pretty simple. You can go ahead and add some corners to this. You can put a flap down, so you could have a flap that opens up. I do have that in some of the other mini albums I've made with the XXL dies, so you can always incorporate any of that kind of stuff with it. And then I have some little pull-out photo mats. And then these fit right inside the pocket. And they go right back in. And then opens up. Again, same thing. So this has 3 pages to it, and they all have the little pull-out photo mats. And like I said, you can go ahead and put another corner pockets here, a flap going this way too. You can use this large pocket die to go ahead and create some photo flaps, which I have done in previous albums. On this back side, and then again on the back cover, again the nice cute little angled corner pocket holding the photo mats. And I do like to put the corner pockets this direction versus over here, because when you close your book up, it's less to have your pictures fall out when it's closed, where if it's on this angle, they could just fall out this way. So I always like to go ahead and put my corner pockets on the edge like that. And then the back cover and the spine. super cute. I really enjoyed making this, and like I said, this idea came to me and I was like, I gotta make it. And what perfect way to make it than with the Crealies dies, because there's no thinking, you just cut them and you're good to go. Anyway, I do have a full tutorial on how I created this album, and I hope you enjoy it. And if you have any questions, just let us know. We'd be happy to help you. And go ahead and enjoy the tutorial, guys. So now I'm going to show you how to go ahead and make this cover. So this cover is kind of fun interactive cover. So you have these little pieces here that kind of spin. So when they're closed up, you can't tell there's a photo. But then when you spin them, you reveal a little hidden window. And inside here is a pocket where you can go ahead and add a photo in. So let me go ahead and show you how to make that. So now this is going to be the cover. So you need to do is you need to start off with a piece of black cardstock, and I used the Crealies Nestle's XXL dies number 56. I used the largest one to cut my black cardstock, and I used the next size down to cut my pattern paper. And then what you need to do is, once you've cut your pattern paper, you need to go ahead and start making your circles. Now, because you're normally when you make a tag or something, you use the larger die to cut the black, and then you use the next size down to cut your pattern paper. But when you're making a window like this, you kind of do it opposite. So you use the larger die to go ahead and, so you put the larger die on to go ahead and create the hole in your pattern paper, and you want to have that nice black border like right here. So you need to use the next size smaller on the black cardstock. So you kind of work a little backwards. And the way you do that is you go ahead and cut out your pattern paper. So I've already done that. So you're cutting your hole out. And then what you need to do is take your cardstock, place this approximately where you're going to want to put it. And then you take the next size die down. So because this circle is bigger, you can just go ahead and make sure this is lined up where you want it. Then go ahead and just eyeball to make sure that your black cardstock is right where it needs to go. So you're giving yourself equal distance all the way around. And then I just usually use some washi tape, and I'll just go ahead and hold it into place. So I get it exactly where I want it, like that. Then I can just take this off and run this through my machine. And I've actually already done that. So this is the piece that I cut out. You can put this aside if you want to save it, or you don't really need that part. So now what you want to do is go ahead and line this back up again to where you're going to want to put it. And now I'm just going to go ahead and glue this piece down. So let's just glue it down real quick. And then just make sure as you eyeball that all of your pieces line up with equal amounts for the black around it. So this is your cover part. Now for the little circles spinning to hide, I went ahead and I also used the Crealies XXL dies number 84, which was also the dies that I used to make my circles here, which I forgot to say, but I used those for that. And then I also used the Crealies XXL 69 circles, and these ones have the little scalloped pieces on it, so it does create a very pretty little, you can see that, nice decorative edge. So I went ahead and cut those out, and I used the circle one so I would have a nice clean border just like that. So let's glue those down. Again, centering everything to there. And then my smaller one is hiding. And there we go. So now what we want to do is we want to go ahead and punch holes in them so we can go ahead and attach our brads. So I'm going to go ahead. Now because these are circles, that part doesn't really matter. So I am going, as you can see, here's my hole. And I'm going close to the edge but not all the way because I don't want it to rip the brad. Or rip the paper when I put the brad in. And now what I want to do is come over here, and I'm just going to kind of line these up, the best part, to go ahead and cover the holes. So this is where, right here, is where I punch through. So I'm going to kind of go to the corner, and then this one. Like that. And then this one right here is going to go right here. So you want to make sure your circles are all within the dimension of your paper here. Then what I want to do is I'm just going to take a pencil and I'm going to go ahead and just mark where my folds need to go. And I don't want to mix them up just in case of the circles, so I know my circles will go exactly where they need to. So now I'm going to punch these out. Just like that. And now with my brads, I can go ahead and put them through and attach. And then the last one. So there we go. So now you have your little circles that are going to spin. Oops. And they're going to reveal the little hidden window, just like that. So next what I want to do is I want to go ahead and add a piece of acetate to this. And I had it 1 second ago. Oh, I see it. So I'm just going to flip over my cover and line it up. Make sure your brad is actually on the cardstock, so when it spins it's not going to come through the thing, through your window. If you have to, you can just put some tape on those so they don't move. Let's go ahead and add a little bit of tape right now. There, so those won't move. So now I'm using some transparent sheets from Crealies. So what I'm doing is just going to line it up, and then I'm going to just cut it. So I know right about here, let me cut that. And now I'm just going to go ahead and place this on top. So I'm just going to use some double-sided tape. And this will seal the brads down too, so the brads will be hiding underneath. So let's get that done real quick. Just show how to make this. So now we're going to go ahead and set this on top just like that. So what I like to do once I have it down is line it up, and then I just remove one side of the tape just to get it, oops, just to get it stuck down, and then I'll remove the rest, including what I put on top of the brads. So get all those gone. And then I'm just going to go ahead and burnish them down so the tape is good and stuck. So there we go. So that's how you create this part here. So it closes everything in. So you can't even see that there's a pocket there. So now the next step is you need to go ahead and create the pocket part. So what we're going to end up doing is gluing in a U shape, so that way your end over here will be open to slide a photo. But in the meantime, until you do get a photo, what I like to do is go ahead and add static. Go ahead and the piece that you cut out from this pattern paper that you have left over, I like to go ahead and add it to this part here. So the best way to line it up is, actually that's the wrong one. Oops. This one is. So it's bigger than this piece. So what I like to do is just go ahead and place it where looks like it's going to line up good there. So now I can go ahead, take this off, and I just so I know I put it back in the right spot, I'm just going to trace around it, because you're not going to see any of that, and then just add some glue. And then just put it back in the circle that you drew. Just like that. So now what you need to do is go ahead and make the pocket portion of this. So now it will all just go right on. Just like that. So what I'm going to do is add glue. So now I'm just going to add glue in a U shape, top and bottom. Make sure you do be careful of your direction of it, because this is the cover and you want to make sure the pocket is going the right way. So I have my glue on my U shape here. This is the side that's going to be attached to the spine, and I know that too because of the little circle. So let's just go ahead and close these down. So because of the scallop edges, I know how to exactly line it up. So I'm just going to match scallops to scallops on it. Making sure it's even all the way. And there you go. So now you're going to have your little open end right here. And it opens like this. And then your little pocket to hold your photo. Just like that. Alright, so I will be right back. I'm going to cut some more pieces and then I'll show you how to put the album together. So now we're going to go ahead and build our binding system. So I'm using the Mini Albums Binding System A to go ahead and create this. What I need is 4 of the base piece cut out, and then I went ahead and added tape to just 3 of the pieces. So now we're going to go ahead and attach them together. So the way you do that is I'm going to go ahead and, so I'm doing it like opposite, so as you can see like where my tape positioning is, like this. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure it's perfectly straight, lined up. And I'm going to go ahead and attach this. You gotta wait a second before you cut that so I can do this. So we're gonna go ahead and press this down. It's gonna be too loud right now. Give me a second. So we're gonna go ahead and add this like this. So now you can see your first hinge and start of the second. And we're gonna just keep going. So we're doing tape to non-tape. So I'm just flipping it over. So we have this here, and I'm just flipping it like this. So I can go ahead and add this on top, making sure everything is squared up and lined up. So I'm making sure my cardstock, I know you can't see it, but it is two different colors, they're not quite as connected. So I'm making sure that I'm squared off against here, squared off and even down here. Once I know that's even, I'm just going to hold it with one side and then flip it up a little, take the tape off. Press that down. So now this is where we're at, right here. So you can see that. And now we're going to add our last piece that has no tape on it. So we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to lay it down, set this on top, going all the way to the edge right here. And then just like that, making sure we're lined up. Go ahead and remove the tape. Press it down. So now we have our binding system, and as long as you made sure everything was lined up right, you are going to be nice and even. Do more creasing in that paper. So if you hold it, let's see if I can get a good, there's kind of good. So you can see there's nothing overhanging against itself. So if you look at it, they are all completely flat against each other. Now it's kind of hard to tell, but everything is nice and even right here. So then the next step that you need to do is go ahead and mark a 1/2 inch down. So my grid here again is 1/2 inch. I mean 1 inch squares, and there's little dots showing me 1/4, 1/2, and 3/4. So I'm just lining it up like this, but you could just use a ruler. And I'm just going to make a little mark here. And I'm going to go and do that to all of them on all sides. And that's where you're going to go ahead, and when you add your cover, or your pages rather, you know exactly where to go. So you're going to go right to that little mark. Oops. So, oops, let's see here. So you're going to line it up right to those marks. So there's a little pencil mark right here. So off camera, I'm going to go ahead and add my little marks, and we'll be back to finish. So I've gone ahead and marked my 1/2 inch down on all of the pieces, and I also went ahead and applied score tape to both sides of my hinges. So you can see this is the back side and all this. So now I'm going to go ahead and we're going to attach the front and the back covers, because the 3 middle pages are a little different. So we're going to go ahead and attach those. So what I did was I went ahead and cut out 3 more pieces of cardstock. And I am using a little bit of heavier weight cardstock, 110 pound, for my front and my back covers, just to add a little more stability to the album. So because there's no spine on here and it is all movable, I can go ahead and lay this down flat. So what I'm going to do to start with is I'm using the first one, the outer edge. So let's see if I can get the lighting right. Maybe not. But I'm using the outer edge, so I'm just going to lay that one down flat. And I have my little 1/2 inch marks on the top and the bottom. So I'm just going to go ahead and set it on top just so I know that I will be lined up even. So now I can go ahead, I'm going to remove my tape and add this piece, making sure the little piece here is towards the inside of the spine. So I'm going to go ahead, line them up to the 2 marks. So I know I will be nice and squared off, and press that down. So right now this is what we have. and I can go ahead and open it to the inside cover. So now, again, just like when I attach these two pieces together, I can match the scallops up to each other so I can get it perfectly laid over the top of my other piece so everything lines up. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and line that up so I know it's exactly where I need it, and making sure all of my little scallops are lined up. I'm going to hold it down, and I'm just going to remove the tape backing from my spine and then press it down. So right now this is my cover, and it's open like this. So I'm just going to go ahead now and add glue to seal it all up. If you wanted to, you could do another U shape on it and create another pocket, but this album's not having one there. So add in my glue. So we're all stuck down. And now I am going to go ahead and add my back cover. So there's my spine. So now you can start to see it's forming the book. So I'm using the last one. So I'm going to lay that down. And again, if you want, just always test them before you permanently stick it. Just that way you have a visual of what you're wanting to do. And as many as I made, I always do that still. So I don't take anything for granted that it was cut right, even though I'm using dies. I just want to be sure. So lining it all up, sticking that down. And now just flip the whole thing over, and we're going to attach the back one. So same thing, lining all the little scallops. So we're perfectly lined, top, bottom, sides. Lift it up a little, and I'm going to remove my tape. And then again, opening it up, and I'm going to add my glue. And stick it down. And the glue also makes it so that it's a little more sturdy, because when the glue dries, it's not like it's flexible, so it adds a little more sturdiness to your cover. So now this is what we have for our book. So I'm going to go ahead now, and I will prep out the 3 middle pages and show you how to do those. Now we're going to go ahead and make our inside pages. So you'll need 6 pieces of cardstock cut out with the largest die again. And we're also going to add a decorative edge, so we're using on the edge number 33. Now the nice thing about this one here is all these little scallops kind of give you little guidelines. And this specific die, I didn't test it with the other on the edge dies, but this specific one here will get, you want to cut out this piece here, but if you go over 2 scallops, so right here, here's one, the corner, and then the second one over, same thing from the other end, the corner piece, and the next one down, this die actually fits exactly between those. So I go ahead and stick it on. Oops. And I'm going to use a little piece of washi tape to stick it down, and I'll show you. Hold on. So this piece here, the edge of the die literally falls between, so you get the first scallop corner, so it's like almost a full circle, and then you got the next half circle. This goes right in between, so it goes in between 2 and 3 of the circles. So it goes there and then right here, and matches up perfectly too, so you can get it centered. So I went, and then go ahead and cut that out. So I already did that, so I have my pieces here, so I went ahead, cut them all out, and the nice thing about it is if you take them all now, for the most part, they will line up perfectly front and back, so your pockets match. So it's kind of nice. So we're going to go ahead and attach these down. So just like the cover pages, the same way. So we're going to go ahead and lay it down. And you want to make sure your page lines up with your cover, as well as the spine, the little tick marks. The most important is you want to just make sure the page itself is going to line up with the front and back covers. So if you're not quite to your little tick marks, don't worry too much. The more important part is making sure your page is squared off top and bottom. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and do that. Just making sure we're lined up. Just like that. And now you can flip it over. So this is our page, and then we're going to take the back side again. Now this one, because of the scallops, we're going to line it up to the scallops. Making sure we're lined up. Hold it down and remove the tape. Hold on. Go ahead and remove the tape right there. Press it down. Now because we're making a pocket, so you have your two pieces, you're just going to put a strip of glue on each end, not the top, because you want to leave that open to go ahead and insert your little photo mat. So we're going to go ahead, add a strip of glue there and a strip of glue here, just like that. Seal them up. And now you're going to do the same thing to the next two pages. So let's go ahead and this one here, make sure you're lined up. So this one I'm just going to do it differently than I did the first one. I'm just going to hold this one down and then remove the tape. And then just flip it over. We're going to line up again. And looks like we're good. So we're going to go ahead. Same thing again. Line it up. A little strip of glue. Making our pocket. And because our hinge is not solid, I just go ahead and move them just so that way I don't get glue on the pages if any of my glue should come out. And the last one. Go ahead, same thing. Looking even. We're removing the tape. And that one's down. Flip it over. Last page. Lining it all up again. And it looks good. And stick that down, and then go ahead, glue the sides. And there we go. So now we have our 3 middle pages all ready to go, and I'll prep some more pieces and I will be back. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and show you how to create the front and the back cover. And I added a little corner pocket here. So let me show you how we're going to do that on the front. So what I did was, for my pattern paper, I used the next size down for the scalloped edge die to go ahead and cut out my pattern paper. So we can go ahead and glue that on. Line that up so it's perfectly centered. Just like that. Now I am using from Journals and Planners number 651. This is the large pocket die. Now I want to have my pocket so it's the same height and length. So what I did was I measured the height of this without, let me fold this over. So I wanted to make my pocket the same height and width. So what I did was measured here from here, and then I measured this distance over here. So let me go ahead and do that. And I'm going to make a little tick mark. So I made my little mark. I'm going to fold this piece under, and I'm going to put it in my paper cutter. And what I'm going to do is line up. So basically, I'm going to cut from here, this corner, down to my tick mark. So basically, I am cutting this kind of an angle. Let me cut that and show you. So what I did was, you can see if I unfold it all, you can see right here what it looks like. And then I just folded this under to cut it. And then I have my little corner pocket, just like that. So now I'm going to apply some tape to that. And then I'm going to trim up my tape so I don't have any overhang. Just like that. This is what we have. I'm going to tuck those pieces under, and now I'm going to add it to the corner. And I'm going to add it just like that. So I'm close to the scallops, but I'm not past the scallop, so I have a thin little line. Oops. So I'm going to hold it, remove my tape, maybe. Let's get it started. My goodness. Alright, put it back down, line it up, and now I'm just going to remove my tape this time, and then secure that edge. So now I can just flip it, and then remove my tape from the bottom, and set that down. So now also in the pocket dies you get the piece for the pattern paper. So I went ahead and cut that out. So basically this is, I'm doing the same way as I did the pocket itself. So I'm going to go ahead and line it up. And then this corner is just a little short because it's made for the pattern paper. And I'm just going to put a little tick mark down to where this edge is. And again, I'm going to cut from this corner down to my tick mark. And let me show you that. So this is what I have. So this was the full piece like that, and then I just cut that off. And now before I glue it, I'm just going to make sure I don't need to do any more trimming, that I got it right. Looks good to me. So now I can go ahead and attach that. And then you have a nice little corner pocket. There. So the front and the back are the same. Now I will show you how to go ahead and cut out your pattern paper and the edge with this. So again, using this die here, I'm going to go ahead and cut out my pattern papers, and I'll show you that in 1 second. So let me show you how to go ahead and cut your pattern paper with this design right here. So what I did was, again, cut out my pattern paper one size down from the page itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm lining it up to where I want this piece. So I'm lining it up from like the top, the bottom, and the side here. And then I'm using my piece right here on the edge die number 33. So what I'm doing is, so I can see where the dots are on the bottom cardstock piece from the die itself that it made. So I'm literally placing it almost to the dots, but I can still see the dots on the other side. So when I do it, like the dots here, so I can see the dots from the pattern paper just above this. So you know that if they're just above this, they're not lined up perfect, because obviously it's behind where it would have normally cut. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure, again. Oh my goodness. So making sure I'm lined up, I'm going to set this back down, and I'm going to use washi tape. So making sure I'm exactly where that piece needs to be. And my dots right here on my pattern paper are just below or above the die. So I'm going to go ahead and stick this down just like that. And I'm going to cut it out. I don't have any pieces prepped for this one because I really can't. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it while we're on camera. So here's my piece. And if it doesn't quite cut the edge, just give those a little snip. My die must have shifted a little bit. So now what I'm going to do is, go ahead and set it down. And as you can see, well, can't quite see because that's all those pages, so let's do it like this. So as you can see, just like that, you have the nice little decorative element, and that's how you cut your pattern paper. So I'm going to stick this down. And when you stick it down, make sure you line it up this end first, only because you want to make sure your points are centered. And then just go ahead and stick that down, and then don't forget you have your little pocket right here. So let me go ahead and I'm going to show you now how to cut out the pieces for the pocket. So the first thing I'm going to do is I wanted to measure the height of this. So I'm roughly making a 5.5 inch wide pocket. So let me cut that paper and I'll show you. Alright, so to go ahead and make the little pull-out folders for the pockets, what I did was I cut my piece of paper 5.5 inches wide, and what I'm going to do now is just fold this in half and burnish that down so I have a nice cut edge. So it opens up, this is the open end right here. So I'm going to take my book. What I'm going to do is go ahead, open this up. Again, my open edge is going to be the part sticking out. And I'm going to go ahead and set this in my pocket. It will cooperate. There we go. So I am going to stick this down all the way down as far as it will go. Let's open this up so you can see better. So just like that. Now I want to do the decorative element on here. So like my pockets right here have where they pull out from, just like that. So I want to almost look like a little tab. So the way I'm going to do that is my pocket is all the way in. And I need some washi tape. And when you have it all the way in, make sure that you can feel that this is even against your page that's inside, that it's not angled or anything. So just go ahead and check each side to make sure it's pushed back all the way. Now I don't want this to stick out further than the book. So basically I don't want to come past like right here. So I don't want this further out than that, because the edge of the page is the edge of the book. So what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and place the die down on here so you can see basically if you line this up, oops, just like that, you can see that this isn't going to go past this here when it's in the pocket. So I'm going to go ahead and add washi tape to keep it stuck where I need to. And then I'm just going to carefully pull it out. I have it like this. I'm going to cut it. And so this is what I have. And if you just remove it so that you have your open end down here, and then it should just fit right back in your pocket. Just like that. So you can see it's not overhanging, so when you close your book, it's not going to be sticking out too much. You might have the little point, the little tip sticking out a little bit. If that bothers you, just go ahead and just slide the die part down just a tad. But once it's all together, it's barely going to be sticking out. So I don't think, yeah, this one just barely, let me put it over the white. So you can just barely see that they're sticking out, which doesn't bother me. And then when you go ahead and do this piece with the pattern paper, you're just going to cut it out, line it up here a little bit, and then just chop it. So the same way that you did, let's see. No, we didn't do that part. Let me show you. Let me pull one out. So all you're going to do is cut your pattern paper. You're going to lay it on the top here. Just trim it down a little bit, and then you can stick your photo mat over the top of that. So it's pretty easy to do that. Again, it's just like, it's basically doing this, just doing it reverse. So like you would line up, you would put your pattern paper, cut it, pretend this is the pattern paper, and you just line it all up, and you just do that. Alrighty, so that's basically it. Let me just show you real quick on the spine part, and then that's it. We'll be done. This is a quick little kind of a beginner album with the fun little element on the cover. So it's not too complicated. It'll just give you something to kind of learn how to make these, and then you can go ahead and get fancy with pockets and other flaps and stuff in some of the other videos I have. So right here, this spine here, if you want, go ahead and measure this. So this is about 1 inch, and then of course it's 6.5 inches top to just under 6.5. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out some pieces for the spine and show you that. So I went ahead and I cut out 3 pieces, and I did use my 110-pound cardstock, the heavier weight, to make my spine, just because I want it to be a little more sturdy. So I cut 3 pieces out at 1 inch wide. And now I'm just going to glue them together so my spine is nice and sturdy. Line those up. And the glue does give me a little bit of time to adjust it if I need to. So one thing I did do different on this one, sometimes that went in my other videos, I added tape to the spine piece, but I tried the glue this time, and I actually think I like the glue better than the tape because it gives you a little time to work with it. So what I'm going to do is just hold it like this. So let's get some glue on this first, and be generous because you want nice full coverage on your spine. I'm going to go ahead and stand it up again. If you have any pockets and stuff in there or pieces that might be sticking, just take them out, any flaps and stuff in your pockets. So I'm going to go ahead and line that up, making sure top to bottom, side to side, and then just press it down. And then real quick, while the glue is still wet, I'm going to go ahead and just give it a good press in between. Oops. Oops. Press that down. Oops, that glue's coming off. I promise, it was much better. Guess I don't have enough glue. Hold on. It didn't give me this much of a hard time when I did it the first time. try it again. So I'm just taking the pages and pushing them up instead. And then I'm just pushing back on it. That way they do line up even. Anyway, that's it. That's how simple it is to make this little book. I hope you enjoyed it. I really like the idea of these covers with a little hidden secret pocket. So it opens up and it gives you a little, not pocket, but, well, it is a pocket with a window. And you can hide a little photo in there, and then you can just cover it all up. And this would also be fun if you didn't want to do it on the cover, you could go ahead and do it on the pages too. So I don't want to mess too much. I want to let that dry nice and solid. And the glue also, once it dries, the glue is going to be a little stiffer than the tape, where the tape might be a little more flexible, but the glue, once it dries, it's going to be super solid. And real quick, let's just, in the mini albums binding system, you have these other two pieces here. So for your cover, the wider piece here, your spine, the wider piece here would fit perfect. So you can go ahead and cut your pattern paper out with that. And then on all of the pieces here, this piece here, if you cut them out, is the perfect size for those, as well as if you open it up right here and on here. So you can go ahead and cut out your pattern paper that way, and they're like the perfect size for you. Anyway, I hope you like this little tutorial on this mini album, and I hope that you enjoy it and make one too. And if you're watching this on my channel, Patty's Crafty Spot, or the Crealies YouTube channel, give them a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and check out all the other amazing products that the other design team members have, or what else I have on my channel. Alrighty, thank you guys for stopping by, and until next time, happy crafting. Bye!